Hey, my name is Selena Mendoza, and I'm here to share the demo for the new Job Tracker 2.0. So let's get into it. This is the weekly snapshot. This is essentially going to be your home base. So you want to be able to compare your progress week over week. If you start to notice that maybe you're getting less responses, being able to look into your strategy, look into also the amount of applications that you're sending out. It definitely is a numbers game. But beyond that, networking is really the key to being able to get through the interview process. So you need to get referred contacts to either refer you to an opportunity, enter their company, or maybe they know someone else that can refer you to opportunity or refer within their company. There are some goals to get done every week and put them up at the top. So you want to be able to apply to a certain amount of jobs every week. And that needs to be consistent. So pick a number. I chose a high number. You definitely want to go up there. If 50 is too much, definitely adjust it. And then we want to network with a good chunk amount of people. So I put 20 people. Sometimes I meet it. A lot of times I don't. And then you eventually want to get to a commitment. So you want to get on a phone call. You want to get on a Zoom. You want to be able to meet for coffee, maybe go golfing, whatever that might look like for you. And then here you can track all of your interviews, all of your applications. You can see it compares. Here are the contacts, those casual chats that I was talking about. And then with the content, so you want to be able to also create content. And that's one of the tactics and strategies to be able to create new networking opportunities, meet new people, maybe outside of your current network, get some visibility and attention on your profiles. So here are the impressions for this week. Majority of these are all on LinkedIn here for this week. Opportunities per source. This is essentially all of the opportunities that do have a connected referred contact. And all of those are coming from LinkedIn on this data set. And over here are the opportunity outcomes. And so these are essentially all of the outcomes of the current contacts for this past week. And it looks like I'm interviewing with one, and then the rest are just current contacts right now. So nothing is happening too much with them. Then over here is the interviews per company. So this is basically just a high level spread across all the companies that you're interviewing with. So you can see how far you went through, what the interview processes look like. And then also you can see the networking outcomes per source. So at a high level, you can see where you should spend more time and also what your time is turning into. So you can see I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn and I'm getting a lot of yellow, orange, and green. So as you get closer to green, those are more opportunities. Refer to opportunities you're actually interviewing. You definitely want to see some more color here. And then as you notice, there's not much time spent on Instagram or contact lists. However, they are a bit more personal. So you might find that those personal contacts will turn into a actual opportunity in the green. And then let's move over to quickly, I'll just show this all-time results. This one's pretty, but these are all the applications that have referrals. And as you can see, there's a lot more movement here. There's a lot of rejected, but that might not always be a bad thing. As you can see here with applications with no referrals, there's not a lot of movement beyond apply. There are some rejects, of course. And here you can see when I click on any of these, which is also really cool and different from Airtable. So at SmartSuite, you can actually click on the charts and be able to see all of the data that's pertaining to that area. So as you can see here, so many rejections, right? But you can see, all right, well, I was interviewing, I went pretty far. Looks like with Lex Page or with Lex, I was able to interview quite a bit, but ultimately didn't make it through. And then if we click back to here, we can see just our all-time results. This is just a accumulation sum of all of the interviews or companies you've applied to, companies you've actually interviewed with, your applications, contacts, and then all of the stages. You can, of course, adjust all of these stages. So don't worry too much about that. And then here are all of, in the red, are passed, ghosted, rejected, canceled. And then here's just the same charts. They're just more on the sum and across beyond just the weekly totals. So you can see here, you can adjust it. So if I want to see like this month, that's what that'll look like. I spend a little bit of time on Twitter, but mostly on LinkedIn there. And then same thing, these are all the same. If you go up here, we have the source breakdown. This is essentially the high level of all of the sources where you're applying or you're getting referrals. You can see there's a lot more movement here just in a little bit of time, but there's been some rejected, there's been ghosted, but here you can see in green, I'm applying, but there's not really much movement there. I may choose to spend a little bit less time there, but I'm spending a lot of time on LinkedIn, and it looks like that is turning into different opportunities. Each tab has a calendar. So here's an application calendar. Here is all of the interviews. So we're moving over the interview tab. This is just that same chart that you see in the weekly snapshot and also in the all-time results. Here are all the interviews. So we want to be able to track every single interview individually on each stage. And that way we can see the data visualized. And then also you'll see some of these are just automatic. You won't be able to modify some because they're connected to the applications. And then here is a history per stage. So being able to track notes, maybe you're on the call and you're able to track notes then, maybe after the call, or maybe before the call, you're having a couple thoughts or you did some research. And then here's an interview calendar. So you can see across all of your interviews across the month, or you can change it to the year or just have a list. I like to keep track of all of my interviews on Google Calendar as well. This is just a nice way to be able to visualize that, so I don't have to click over there. Now let's move over to the contacts. Here in the contacts, you'll see we are tracking all the statuses individually as well. So once you add a contact in here, we want to be able to track, all right, well, they referred me to an opportunity or we scheduled a call. I want to track that in real time as much as I can. That way I don't miss it. These are providing updates. Essentially, if they're like, yeah, let me know how it goes, this and that, always just check that just to make sure I have some visual indication or reminder that I should probably reach out, and they're open to that. Keep notes here. And then also if there are any applications that turn into referred opportunities, then I'll attach them here. Also, you can attach them here if you create an application. You could just connect it to a contact. And then here in the interviews, these are all of the interviews that were also connected to all the contacts. Here in the source versus status, this is just that same chart that you see in the weekly snapshot and the all-time results. And here you also see all of the notes per contact. So I like to keep notes of just how they found me or how I found them, how it went, anything else that I can keep track of. Also any opportunities that we talked about or it led to. And this is a great way for after finally get your next role that you can be able to reach out to all of these people personally and give a shout out or thank you. And then here is a calendar of all the meetups. So this is pretty convenient. Again, if you want to be able to create maybe a way to automate and you can have different colors for all of these different types of items on your Google Calendar, I'm sure you can make that happen. If you're curious and you want me to experiment with you, let me know. Let's go over to the content tab. So here is the content that I talked about. Essentially, we want to be able to own our narrative. And so before creating content, we want to be able to take a step back and we want to understand what are we trying to go out to the market and into these interviews, and what's our narrative? What do we bring to the table? What do we do best? And what environments do we thrive in? So here are some of the keywords and skills. Of course, you can add your own, take out all of mine. And I've added things where it kind of ranges from keywords that you find in resumes. Interviewers might want to understand certain knowledge or things like initiative. They want to see collaboration. So being able to write content about these stories and connect it to, you as an individual and have a tying way of bringing it into, hey, I'm a great person to hire and have on your team, and reinforcing that. So this is a great way to do that. It's not perfect, but it is a tactic. And here you can connect all of the sources. So if you're writing on LinkedIn, you'll put it on here. If you write on Twitter, put there, all the links. And then if you distributed that anywhere, so if you'd share the link to Twitter or this and that, definitely track that here. Good to know that. Although when you're tracking the impressions, you're only going to want to track where it was published. It's not perfect, but it will be able to give you an easier way to track and not go too crazy here. Also, once you make any contacts, so say you publish a piece of content and then someone added you or liked it and then added you, it's a very easy way to attribute that. However, if people are reaching out, it's always an easy way to just ask them, hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm curious. How'd you find me? And they'll usually be very open to sharing that. And then once you add that contact in, so here's an example of Weston Bow, that turned into a scheduled call, and that came from a Clubhouse hiring post that I had made. And then you'll see there it automatically adds that number of referred contact. So here on the dashboard, you'll get to see across the entire year, the month, this week, and then all the opportunities that have come from writing content. And then you'll see the content posted versus the referred contacts. So this is across all of the different sources. So again, you can add your own sources and different course sources wherever you write and post, and then all of the referred contacts that you've received. And it looks like majority of those have come from LinkedIn. And then it's a good way to just also understand where you should be spending more time. And here on the content outcomes, you can see, all right, out of all of the outcomes that I've got, those 5 referred contacts, what's going on with them? And this is the spread. So let's go over to the job vault. And this is a new strategy for job tracker. And essentially, you want to be able to apply to jobs, especially in a very timely manner, just because there is a lot of competition, and I cannot stress that. So usually if it's posted on that day, apply to it as fast as you can with as much personalization to the questions, to your resume, to your cover letter. And that sometimes you're in a time crunch or you're away something, you find something, someone sends it to you, you're like, oh, this is perfect. Just drop it into the job. And it's much easier if you just have one place to just throw it in there. You can even put the urgency. So if it's like extremely urgent, you can add that in there and just have a reminder. And then if you download the SmartSuite mobile app, you'll always have access to it. So even if you're on the go and you have some time, you have the resume already set up, maybe you have some time to work on it, you can just actually apply on your mobile phone. But definitely don't let anything stop you when it comes down to trying to get that resume out and the application completed. So this is a good way to, you have the priority, you have the types of roles. I've also added, say you're on the go, or if you're here, say we're on our computer and we're applying, we're going to want to have this sheet out. So I created a form, and of course you're going to replace this with all of your titles of all the companies that you're applying to. And then that way it's easy to just click one and say there isn't one. This is a new, for some reason, you have a different role that you're applying to. The company's out there because it's a different company. No problem. Let's add it to the notes. So maybe it's director of e-commerce for Target. And then you add your link there. And then you probably won't connect it with any applications, but you never know. And then submit that. And then it'll go directly into the job vault. It'll go as the backlog. So backlog is essentially just a log of a whole bunch of items that just kind of just hanging out there, waiting for you to complete. And once you are done applying, you'll just change that status to applied. Once you do that, it's going to automatically add a new application in here with the company as well. So a good thing to understand is that just because you add the company here in the job vault doesn't mean that it's also going to already be here applications. I'll go through the automation. When you copy over the base You may not get that automation. You most likely will not. So I will also have another video that you can look at to set up that automation, but I'll try to make it very simple on the blog posts. But if it's not clear, of course, I'll cover it in a video. So if we go back to the job vault, also we have a dashboard. And with the dashboard, we have all of the jobs in the job vault, what the applications it generated into, any opportunities. Looks like none have turned it into opportunities yet. Again, it's a numbers name. And then we have all those applied, the ton in the backlog. And then this is the spread of all of the roles. So usually when you create a chart like this, you don't want to spread it out. But it makes sense for this exercise because you do want to understand how many roles are you applying to and what does that look like? Are you actually applying to quite a few different roles? Are they the same? Are they pretty distributed and spread out? As you can see, majority of those are senior product manager roles. Here in the status, you'll see it's really just a version of this. So looks like 75%, my eyes, 75% are in the backlog. And then this is something you could take out if you really don't need. I added it in here in case those that wanted to use it. So it's just basically the urgency of the roles that you applied to. So when you add an urgency, if you're applying to a ton of urgent, great. If you're applying to a ton of normal but not a lot of urgent, you might want to switch that up. But again, that's just a little reminder. And then we're going to move over here to the resources. So resources are essentially anything that you want to be able to track, where that's attachments or pieces of text that you can basically quickly copy and paste and add into. Maybe you're applying to a lot of different roles and they're asking the same question. Maybe they're very similar roles. Maybe you want to kind of riff off of each of those and create personal questions, but don't have to reinvent the wheel. Then you can definitely add them here. Also, adding different personalized cover letters, if you want to do that, if you want to do that through text, or if you also want to add an attachment, you can just quickly do that here. And then once you're done, you want to track, all right, is it something I'm just adding in here? Have I used it? Once you use it, you want to keep track of that. I used it for something. And then if it's linked to any certain application, so this one was for Couplet, so I linked that application there. And yeah, that is the job tracker. So let's go back to the weekly snapshot. This will be your home base and it's going to be great. It'll be an adventure. And I feel like it'll be a lot of cool personal growth and lots of writing and lots of networking. So I hope you have a lot of fun and good luck for all of us. Thanks, y'all.